He used to sleep under his desk because he couldn't afford rent. Now he owns the company, and his very first move as CEO, he fired the boss who once called him useless. Would you have fired him, or would you have forgiven him? Let me know in the comments below, Team Revenge or Team Forgive. This is the incredible story of Ethan Clark. At 22, he arrived in New York with nothing but a backpack and a dream. He landed an unpaid internship at a top firm, but with no money for an apartment, he had nowhere to stay. So every single night, he'd pretend to work late, waiting for everyone to leave, just so he could unroll a sleeping bag and crash under his desk. His direct boss, a man named Mr. Reynolds, noticed. But instead of helping, he mocked him, calling him the office ghost. What Reynolds didn't know was that Ethan wasn't just surviving, he was studying. He was a sponge absorbing everything, the company's numbers, the client lists, and most importantly, the fatal cracks in their business model. Have you ever worked somewhere that just didn't see your true worth? Comment with a broken heart emoji if you know that feeling. One cold morning, the company announced massive layoffs. And guess who was first on the chopping block? Ethan. No warning, no severance, not even a thank you. Just a cold, sterile email. We're cutting costs. As he walked out of that building with his single duffel bag, he made a quiet promise to himself. I'll be back. But not as your intern. That setback was the fuel his fire needed. Ethan took on grueling night shifts, spent every spare minute learning to code online, and started building a small tech startup from his tiny, shared apartment. He focused on solving a single, massive problem that his old firm had completely ignored, and it worked. Within 5 years, his little startup grew so powerful that it acquired the very firm that had once thrown him out. Imagine this moment. On his first day back as the new CEO, Ethan called an all-hands meeting. Same boardroom, same expensive chairs, and sitting right across the table from him was his old boss, Mr. Reynolds, looking pale and nervous. Ethan didn't yell, he didn't gloat, he simply slid a crisp, white envelope across the polished table. Mr. Reynolds, he said, his voice calm and steady, thank you for everything you taught me. You're relieved of your duties, effective immediately. A deafening silence filled the room. The man who once mocked him now had nothing to say. But here's the twist. This wasn't about revenge. As Ethan looked at his former boss, there was no anger in his eyes, only a sense of peace. He fired him not for payback, but because he believed leadership demands accountability, and Reynolds had failed that test. Was he right to fire him, or should he have given him a second chance? I really want to know what you think, but the story doesn't end there. Months later, Ethan secretly and anonymously used his connections to help Reynolds land a consulting role at another company. Because true power isn't about getting even. It's about rising above. It's about grace. The young man who once slept on the cold, hard floor learned that while success can be quiet, karma ... karma has a microphone. From a homeless intern to a CEO, Ethan's story is proof that your greatest pain can become your greatest power, but only if you have the courage to stay the course and never, ever give up. What would you have done in his shoes? Would you have shown mercy or made the same call? Drop your answer in the comments below, and if you love stories that hit you right in the heart, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.